What is going on, guys? It is Arrow here. We are back again on Assetto Corsa for another of these little mini-series that I'm doing where I find or I'm sent or told about tracks that are from other games, maybe games that didn't have the best drifting or just drifting that isn't what I'm currently doing, which is Assetto Corsa, and they've been ported over, remade, remastered, what have you. This one's going to be a little bit interesting because I actually never played the game that this track is from. Obviously, some of you out there have probably played the Need for Speed series. I know, crazy thought. The game Shift 2 had a track which was like London Millennium, I think is the name of it, that it was in the game, but I was just kind of perusing through some mods the other day, and I saw that this track is London Bridge H. It's by Hexer Mods. It's got a long name, but it is basically the same track from Need for Speed Shift 2 Unleashed. So I thought, you know, maybe I'll just jump in the Slide Boys cars, get a V8 or LS powered Toyota Supra to piss some people off, and kind of just see what the happening is. So we're here at the track, and this is actually a really fun. Let me get my actual. There we go. It's actually a really fun track. We did a little bit in the server, in my server the other night, over on twitch.tv/MrArrowHD. We do drift nights every Tuesday night. New car track combos every week sometimes. And this was a kind of a good car that was good enough to be fun at this track, but also not like extremely challenging. It's not a VDC car. It's not a WDT 800. They're a little bit easier. They drive a lot like the DCGP cars, if you guys know what those are like. But I just think this pack looks a lot cooler than DCGP cars. They drive somewhat similar. They don't really drive themselves like other mod packs do, but definitely not to the level of difficulty. So they're fun to drive with your friends. And because this track is what it is, which we'll go to in a minute, it is very fun to drive with other people. But I love how little that revs. So there's your pits. You just right to it. Full disclosure, I've not driven the Supra in this pack yet, so we're kind of talking about both. A lot of feel in the steering with this car. Oh, big boy. Oh, God. I forget the layout. So the track does kind of cross back in on itself. As you'll see here, there's like open areas for it to come back across and come back in on itself. Just be wary of that when you're online. Like, I have the track map up here, which is actually very accurate, so thanks to Hexer Mods for that. Because a lot of times that's something that's overlooked. Just keep in mind, keep a look, see if you see any black dots headed your... Whoa, we're going way too quick. See if you see any black dots headed your way and kind of just use judgment. There's a line of 4 cars all driving together and you're alone. Don't try to beat it. You'll kill your friends. Unless that's what you want to do, then, you know, I'm not here to boss you around. But this is another one of those tracks it's very... Oh, yeah, that was a little bit too big for my britches there with that flick. This track reminds me a lot of the last video that I posted, which I don't know if it's going to be from a week ago or a couple days ago. We'll see how I feel in the edit. But it's very similar but different. It's kind of doesn't really have the technical aspect of Shibuya, and like a lot of the corners are just not switchback on each other. It's the same but different because it's still a fast track. But I don't think this track is going to be as fun with lower power because the line is a little bit less defined here. I know when we were driving on the server the other night, we were really going for outer zones and trying to go big entries. Because the track is so wide and so open, it gives you a lot of that freedom. But another cool thing about this is, if you're not really... I mentioned this a little bit in my Shibuya video, but, you know, if you're not really comfortable with drifting in Assetto Corsa yet, and you're tired of the game kicking your ass, that's just a totally valid thing. Because this is not, you know, this is not a Car X or a Forza Horizon or something. Like, this game, actually, you have to somewhat know what you're doing, depending on the mod pack. Well, even not even depending on the mod pack. You kind of have to somewhat know what you're doing to get the most fun out of this game. So if you're tired of getting your ass kicked, this is actually a great track to kind of learn and not have to worry about your line as much. Like, I could run inner clips here all day long. I could run in the center of the track. When I feel a little bit more confident, I can go for these... Wow, I screwed that up. We can go for these outer zones, like this big outer wall here. The diameter is a lot... Or the circumference, I should say. Math is a class I took. Is a lot... Wow. Oh, whip. Is a lot smoother. So you can actually get your rear bumper to that wall without, you know, worrying about tagging it. And I know a lot of mod packs have very lenient hitboxes with the rear of the car as well, which is also nice. So if you're looking for a place to practice outer zones that isn't a bank, because this track is nice and flat, and if you're learning, flat is good, Obviously, you're going to have to learn how to deal with elevation change at some point or another, but, you know, we all learn at different speeds, at different paces, and that's A-okay. I was asleep on the throttle there for some reason. But again, this is not a game that I ever played. A lot of people, when I was streaming this, are like, you never played Shift 2? Surprised emoji. It's like back in the day, man, like 10-something years ago, I couldn't afford Shift 2. I remember it came out and I really wanted to play it for YouTube, but because I figured it'd be a big deal. But a lot of people that I asked, I'm like, is it any good? They're like, it's okay. It's all right at best. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to drop 75 Canadian dollars on a game that's okay. Unfortunately, I'm in a bit of a different place now. Being an adult, I have a lot less money than I did when I was a child. Oh my god. For video games. So, did I hit the wall? No, I didn't. That was cool. I cannot believe I did that smooth. See what I mean? Like, this is a great place to practice your outers without having to worry about, you know, a bank. Banks obviously change the way the car drives. Or like outer zones, or not outer zones, that's literally what I just said. But you don't have to worry about your elevation changes. You don't have to worry about a tight track. So if you want to ease into that outer zone instead of fully committing to it, which is kind of how you got to start learning outer zones. The best way to learn an outer zone would be like just an outer zone with no wall, but you know, you got to learn how to run the wall at some point. This is basically your technical section here. And again, same thing like I said in the other game. The only real complaint I have is there's no clipping points. There's no defined line, which is a good and a bad thing. But it's way more accurate for Shift 2 because I actually watched some gameplay of this track. Oh my god. Wow. Okay, fifth is just not having it. But of this track in the... Oh, wow. I'm going... Oh, yeah, no, we're fine, no. Of this track in the game, and this is kind of just how it is because it's points-based. So there is no clipping points. There's no... Even the driving line of the game is just in the center of the track. So, if you're driving this with some friends, just make sure like you kind of have mentally aligned because it's going to be very, very hard to chase if your friend in front is kind of running outside zone sometimes, inside zone sometimes, and going for big slowdowns. Like if I was running an outer zone there, I wouldn't have slowed down that much. And if the guy behind me assumed I was running an outer zone, he would have murdered my face. Another reason this track's really fun, and I think a little bit more fun than, or sets it apart from Shibuya is what I mean. Words are hard. Is because you can really practice your chasing, at least at high speed. Because these corners are so long and so fluid and like not really as... Even Shibuya like was a lot more twisty than this. This is very long and fluid turns. And especially with these cars too, these Slide Boys cars that are not trying to kill you like every other air quotes comp car that I've driven in this game, which is not a bad thing. That's how competitive cars are supposed to drive, but... Go wide, come on. Come on. I'm getting scared. Oh, we're in it. How did I not hit the wall? How did I not hit the wall? I was like already thought I was hitting the wall, so I stopped, like my brain stopped driving. I was like, okay, whatever. You can really practice your chasing here, because if you get behind a guy in front of you, once he commits, or once they commit to a line, especially in this big long left, you could just go a little bit shallower than them, and you're able to catch up and kind of get that door-to-door experience without having to worry about too many transitions and like really chasing after somebody and having to focus on being a lot faster than them and like sacrificing your line. It's just kind of a chill track for higher horsepower cars. I don't know how this is going to drive with super low power cars. I drove it as a tester with the Aussie Drifting Cars 420, the weed number. I mean, if you just Google it, you'll be able to find that pretty easy. I won't have that in the description because I'm not driving that mod. Those cars were able to drive around here, but they weren't as fun. They were just struggling, just trying to get by. They weren't able to go everywhere on the track like these, 700 horsepower, 305 rear tire Slide Boys cars are. But, I mean, in my opinion, they're not any harder to drive than ADC is. They're just faster. So as long as you're willing to deal with a little bit more grip in a car, then it's not too much of a difference, personally, to me. I mean, a line does start to form the more laps you do. This is kind of one that I'm doing, where you see some corners I'll go wide, some corners I won't go wide. And you do start to get a flow, especially if you've been following a guy or, you're on Discord or Skype or fucking Ventrilo, I don't know, with some friends and you're able to be like, hey, do you always do that in that corner? And be like, yep. And then you can kind of learn the line. Or if it's somebody you've been driving with for a long time, you don't even have to like ask them. You'll just kind of know what their line is. My rear tires must be at like 60 PSI because this car feels so floaty right now. But this will be my last pass through here. Again, we have replay cameras on this track. Thanks to Chia, but 5th gear. This is about as close as I dare bring it to that first wall. Camera, please. Camera, why you do that? I switched from real head motion to like the neck. Oh boy, to neck effects, which is part of the content manager, and I'm still kind of getting used to it. Once you pull a certain amount of angle, it's just like no, I will not look that way for you. See what I mean? That could have been a little bit nicer. Let's see if I can try it here because this is a slowdown. Yeah, there we go. But definitely worth checking this track out. Obviously, I wouldn't be showing it to you if it's not worth checking out. But this mod pack 2 is awful, and I hate it only because I spun. Didn't spin. We're fine. This mod pack 2 is very fun. It's a very nice middle ground between those cars that are a little bit maybe more demanding to drive and cars that are very not demanding to drive, that are very easy and kind of set up for beginners. I feel like Slide Boys kind of got the balance right with cars that look cool, sound cool, and are easy for beginners, but still rewarding to drive for somebody who, you know, like me, who's got a little bit more seat time and a little bit more experience in the game. Okay, I'm going for that outer zone one more time. Oh, we're in the wall. How did I not hit the wall? Okay, don't get excited. Ride that, ride it, 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 ride it. I don't know how close I got, but it felt nice. I'm gonna go finish this lap so I can use the replay because I want to see what that looks like in the replay. Normally I try to record like a lap where I maybe try a little bit harder, but that was sweet. But definitely like a nice chill track. Something you can probably put some good music on and just kind of vibe. Something you just relax on. And again, if you have friends that maybe aren't as experienced in the game as you, don't have as much seat time in drifting, or maybe you just want a track that isn't going to bust your balls, like a Mahon or something that's super narrow and very deceptively technical. This is actually a really, really good choice. So I'm going to show you guys the replay here. Again, thank you very, very much for watching. If you're new to the channel, maybe think about subscribing. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. And as always, I would super appreciate some suggestions in the comments below. Like I said in the last video, I think I might be moving away just from specifically game-based modded tracks, go to some real life tracks that maybe I've never driven in the game before, or places that I would like to drive or go in real life. I'm just going to kind of start hopping around with different cars, different tracks, and try to go online as well and get you guys some tandem footage because, you know, drifting is fun and all, but where's the fun if there's not a door to run into? But thank you guys very much for watching. I'm going to show you the replay after this, and take care and have a good one. Peace.